name is Cheree Peoples. On March 13th, 2013, I was arrested for truancy for my child, and she has a chronic illness called sickle cell anemia. This is me the day they came and arrested me at my house. I was unaware that they even was considering my child to be a truant. Her diagnosis, sickle cell, it's a really chronic disorder. There's no cure for it. They pretty much are born with it as a hereditary blood disorder that affects every major organ in their body. Everyone, the brain, the heart, the lungs, anything that is related, the eyes, they have strokes, high rates of strokes. Sickle cell, it's not a known, people don't know about it. They don't know, they know of it, but you don't really know about it. And it's a totally different thing when you're living it. And right now, I'm living the worst nightmare that any mother can possibly understand and go through, to feel, to be arrested based on the fact that your child has a chronic illness and her illness prevents her and from going to school, and I get arrested for truancy. It's documented that my child has an illness. She's chronically ill. The way her care is done, and for them to not just provide the services that are needed for me to be successful to help my child, they went ahead and arrested me.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the BCV broadcast. I am your host, Pastor Sickle Woods. Please do the following. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell at the bottom of this video. That way, whenever I go live and post any content for you, the viewer, you'll be one of the first to view it. Also, if you'd like to support this ministry financially, first and foremost, thank you, all of you, those of you who sacrifice and show your tangible expressions of love and support to this channel, to this ministry, and also Love, Life, and Marriage with the Woods by supporting it with your resources and finances. We thank you for that. And if you'd like to continue doing so, the links are below. There is no obligation. You can start and stop at any time. Body lifers. What is a body lifer? Well, body lifers are those who are outside of their normal and local fellowship gathering and support to their churches. They support ministries like this one and also Love, Life, and Marriage with the Woods to help keep this ministry, this channel going. It definitely takes resources to do what we do. So we do appreciate and thank those of you who are mindful of that and who keep us in your prayers and also show your love and appreciation tangibly by supporting this ministry. You can do that. Again, there's no particular specific dollar amount. You can start, stop at any time. I would encourage those of you who have been doing so and actually discourage you not to use the Super Chat. Do not use Super Chat. I have been encouraging people to use the other forms of support that we have listed below at the bottom of this channel because YouTube has demonetized my most recent videos because of its content. Don't know why that is. I think we do know why. And as we continue to go on in this election cycle, they're going to continue to do more as well too. And so I've been making people aware of that and discouraging people from utilizing and using Super Chat for two reasons. Number one, there's no guarantee that I get the resources that you have submitted and given to me because they've demonetized those particular videos that have been used for that. Number two, they also take a fee out of it. Well, also thirdly, well, we don't receive those resources in the same expedited fashion and manner that you send it. We get those resources the following month, the following revenue cycle, which is a month from the time that you send and you submit those gifts and send those gifts out. So you can use the expedited donation links below at the bottom of the video, and we do appreciate that. Also, those of you who like to support this ministry by using and supporting it through the BCV channel or the BCV store in support of this channel, you can do that by purchasing hats, hoodies, mugs, things of that nature to support this ministry. And shout out to my sister Chelsea's live line. Good to see you, sis. What up, though, girl? Shout out to her. She sent me a picture of a young man, I believe. I forgot where it is, Chelsea. You can put it in the chat. But this brother was eating out and was rocking the BCV hat. Didn't even know. Don't know who he is, but I do appreciate the fact that he had the BCV hat on. He had that joint flipped to the back, and so she took a picture of it, I guess, and sent it to me. And that really made my day. It really made my day. It is those little things that help me and encourage me to continue to do what I'm doing. Because again, sometimes you have those moments like, Lord, what am I doing? People are not really watching this stuff. I'm not into the into the salacious stuff. I'm not into trying to get into clickbaiting and all this little foolishness to get people to watch my content. You watch this content and watch this channel and support this channel because of the content and because of the substance. I have nothing against anybody. If you have good, production, I believe as Christians, we should produce and produce the best that God has entrusted and has equipped us and has given to us to steward and to manage and to care, right? So we utilize what we have been given. Some he has given 100, some he has given 60, some he has given 30. But whatever he's given to you and I, we're to use it to the maximum potential that he has entrusted and has given us the ability to manage and to steward. And so, don't have the bells and whistles, do have lights and things like that, have a nice microphone, things like that. And if God chooses to use and to elevate this ministry to different areas and levels, then so be it. But right now, what you see is what you get. And so hopefully you're here because of the message. You're not here because of the lights and trinkets and bells and whistles. Those things has its place, but we should never overlook the fact that as Christians, we're called to be people of the truth. He says, sanctify them in the truth. That word is truth. He didn't say sanctify them in their sound bites. He didn't say sanctify them in their algorithms. He said sanctify them in the truth. Not trinkets, not bells, not accoutrements, but in the truth. Why? Because that word is truth. All right. So I just want to encourage you to be mindful of that, because sometimes we can get caught up into the spiel of thinking that, if I can just have this and have that, then I can really blow up. No, if God is sovereign and we believe that he is, then he's going to elevate and he's going to promote you and I in due season. He tells us not to be weary in well doing, but we will reap if we don't faint. And so I'm encouraged by people like you, those who watch this channel on Facebook and on YouTube and on the replays. You guys help me to continue to do what I'm doing, and I appreciate that. So shout out to all of my supporters, all of my viewers, of course, the family, of course, the missus, she's in the chat. She's saying hello to everybody. And so we appreciate that. We do thank you. And we do not, we don't take that for granted. We really, really don't. So anyway, this is Labor Day. Happy Labor Day to everyone. We know this is the holiday. Some of you are relaxing, and so this is an early live stream. Of course, I would normally start at the 7 o'clock hour, but I have a special guest in the guest room, and she'll be coming on momentarily. And we have a 2-hour difference, and so I wanted to be respectful of her time and accommodate as much as I can, because I believe this young lady has a message, and some of you may have seen her on different platforms, but this platform, I wanted to bring her on because I have questions, and I know she has a message that she needs to communicate and information that she wants to share with you, the viewer. If you have a loved one, if you have a child that you're taking care of and have been providing and also may have been caught up in this system of injustice, then I believe what she has to share with us today will be for you and maybe for others that may need to hear this as well too. But here, one of the questions that I want to raise before I bring Cheree on, as we are embarking and as we are actually involved in this election cycle, we know the two candidates. We know as Christians what we're up against. I want to encourage you, if you are going to vote, that your vote is biblical. You don't vote based on color. You vote based on the canon of scripture and biblical principles. Far too many of you, as professing Christians, are voting for a woman whose policies are totally in opposition to the Word of God. And you're following the world's way of thinking. You're following peer pressure. You're following tradition instead of following and standing on the truth. Shame on you. Shame on you. I mean, if the mainstream media is your source of truth and information, and you don't have alternative or secondary sources that you should be examining as a Berean and testing everything in light of the scriptures, then God help you. If the Breakfast Club is your source of information, God help you. If MSNBC is your source of information, God help you. If CNN is your source of information, God help you. If any of these outlets are your source of truth and factual information, and if your spidey senses is not going off, and in the spiritual realm, if your discernment is not saying, something ain't right about that. If Roland Martin, especially now with his booty pics of men walking through portals that he got caught live streaming, yeah, I said it. I ain't just seen it. I ain't the only ones that seen it. Yeah. Other outlets have now picked up on it. If Roland Martin is your source of information and factual truth, then God help you as well too. God help you. Sanctify them in the truth. That word is truth. And for the life of me, I don't understand how any Christian can support a party whose primary and main and modus operandi is to destroy a particular people group, i.e., the black population, since its inception. There's nothing new. There's different players on the field. The message is the same. The message is all the same. And now we have people pushing a narrative that Kamala Harris, she's the one. She's going to help us. She's going to do this for us. She's the VP, and not only is she the VP, but she's POTUS. And we need to stand with her. I hear professing Christians talk like this. Never mind her track record, never mind her history as a DA, as an AG, as a senator, as a VP. Nah, never mind that. Facts be damned. It's because she's black. We got to bring her in. Well, the Bible speaks against that. Ephesians chapter 5, the Bible says in verse 11, do not participate in the unfruitful deeds of darkness. Take no part in the worthless deeds of evil and darkness. Instead, expose them. That's what I do here on this channel. Anything that affects not just the church, but affects my neighbor, affects those who have been made in the image and likeness of God, I am to expose. And I am to use my platform, my channel, my voice, my abilities, my efforts to shed the light and expose the works and deeds of darkness. Whether it's the person, their policies, their positions, what they promote, I'm to expose it. I'm to expose it. Why? And why should I expose it? Because I love not just the church, but I love my neighbor, and I will want the same to be done for me if I'm walking in blindness or if I'm misinformed or ill-informed. Jesus said, you shall love the Lord your God, Matthew chapter 22, verse 37. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the great and foremost commandment. The second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Question I need to ask all of you who are watching this stream today. If you claim to love God, if you are a professing Christian, you claim to love God, it is going to be seen and shown by how you love others. If I love you, I'm going to tell you the truth, even if it hurts your feelings. If I love you, I'm going to give you the real. Even if it's raw, unvarnished, I'm going to give you the real. Why? Because the Bible says faithful are the wounds of a friend. Deceitful are the kisses of an enemy. You don't have to like my tone. The question is what is my tone from a place of truth? You may not like how I say it. You may not like the style and how I say it. The question we need to ask ourselves is it true? You got people like Stephen A. Smith. People like Stephen A. Smith publicly going on record. And these people have you think that they're not going to stand with Kamala Harris in one breath, but in that same breath, turn right around and say that they will. Why? Why are they standing with this woman? Because Donald Trump is too mean. I'm not making this up. Because Donald Trump is a racist. Donald Trump, we've heard it all before. We've heard it all before. Because he's mean. Because of his tone. because of his language. Really? When was the last time you've gone to bed and somebody's language has affected policy? Give me a person whose tone, whose tweets is mean, but their policies is on point and biblical any day, versus who comes to you and I with flowery language and claims that they are black because they put collard greens in a bathtub, nasty heifer, and you telling me that that makes you black? I know no black person ever put collard greens in a bathtub. If you do, let me know so I know not to come to your house anymore, because that's some nasty stuff. I don't care if you clean the tub with Clorox. You nasty. You nasty. Period. But for black people, oh, that makes you black. Put on some Chucks and Pearls. Put some hot sauce on your collard greens, or better yet, have some hot sauce in your purse. That makes you black too, right, Hillary? And black folk just eat it up. Just eat it up. You put black people in a place to where they don't think, and what happens? You have a person like Kamala Harris come along and makes that to be a fact, because all you have to do is speak the language. All you got to do is act black to be accepted as black, and you'll get our vote every time. Well, today I have a guest on the broadcast who does not know Kamala personally, but her policies has affected this woman personally. And if you have been following and reading the news, or been following up on different news outlets and sites, you know this individual. Her name is Cheree Peoples. And back in 2013, she was affected by Kamala Harris's policies. And I want to read this an excerpt before I bring her on to set the stage here today. And this is from the Huffington Post. March 27, 2019, the human costs of Kamala Harris's war on truancy. The progressive prosecutor wanted to transform how California responded to students missing school. Parents like Cheree Peoples wound up paying the price. On the morning of April 18, 2013, in the LA suburb of Buena Park, a throng of photographers positioned themselves on a street curb and watched as two police officers entered a squat townhouse. Minutes later, the cameras began clicking. The officers had reemerged with a weary-looking woman in pajamas and handcuffs, and the photographers were jostling to capture her every step. Quote, "You swear I had killed somebody," the woman Cheree Peoples said in a recent interview. In fact, Peoples had been arrested for her daughter's spotty school attendance record under a truancy law that then California Attorney General Kamala Harris had personally championed, here it is, personally championed in the state legislature. The law enacted in January 2011 made it a criminal misdemeanor for parents to allow kids in kindergarten through eighth grade to miss more than 10% of school days without a valid excuse. Now notice the term, without a valid excuse. People's 11-year-old daughter, Shayla, had missed 20 days so far that year. The key word, ladies and gentlemen, is allowed kids in kindergarten through eighth grade to miss more than 10% of school days without a valid excuse. That's the key term. Without a valid excuse. Did Cheree Peoples have a valid excuse for her daughter to miss excessive amount of days? And if so, what was that valid excuse? Most of us may know what it is, but for those who don't, my guest today is Miss Cheree Peoples. She is the mother of a child at the time who has, to this very day, has sickle cell anemia. And actually, this is Sickle Cell Awareness Month. And so I found it to be rather appropriate and timely to bring our guest on today. Cheree, welcome to the broadcast. Thank you for coming on. How you doing? Try it again. There you,
Hi,
there you go. How are you? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Been kind of busy. My baby girl haven't been feeling too well, so I have doctors and stuff kind of on standby with her
Yeah,
because she is fighting a lung infection right now.
lung
So
infection. And
yes,
how old is your daughter now?
she's 22.
22. 22. So this
Mhm.
happened when she was 11 years old, right? Was that correct?
Oh, yes, if you add up the time,
Wow.
I want to say
Wow.
so.
Okay. Because I was reading the report here. Actually, let's see. 20, yeah, 11-year-old daughter. This was in 2013 of April. So let people know a little bit, Cheree, about yourself before we get into some of the meat of what we want to talk about. Some people may not know who you are, may have heard your name, but never put a face to it, up front, close and personal. So let the people know a bit about yourself. Go right ahead, ma'am.
Well, my name is Cheree. My daughter is Shayla. I'm a mother. She have sickle cell anemia, which she's been battling all her life. Um, I'm a caregiver. I just love to be with my family, and sorry about that. And do me, enjoy my time with her, and that's about it.
Well, look, so I'm glad you came on again. I know, taking time out of your business schedule. We talked this past weekend, and you were so gracious with your time. We ended up realizing, like, man, we talked for like 2 hours, just that quick. We covered a lot. I mean, it was really cool, But I wanted to bring you on because when I first saw your story and heard about it, actually, I remember hearing about it but didn't really get all the information and the facts until earlier this year. It started gaining more traction. You and a few other individuals who lived in California and actually Orange County, right? During this time, was it Orange County? Okay,
Yes.
and so your story and a few other people's story started to reemerge, and yours stood out because not too many people, to my knowledge, ever really mentioned your name and
Mhm.
never tied it into Kamala Harris's policies or Kamala Harris's, reign as either DA or as AG in California. And actually, you were one of those people. In fact, you said you never met the woman,
No.
but you were affected by her, up front, up close and personal. So take us to a little bit, and I'm gonna play your video again because I wanted to ask you some questions about that. But take us back a little bit to that morning. I mean, April 18th of 2013. What was actually going on? Did you get any information? Was there any notices about these infractions and offenses that were, now coming on you with the was this the LAPD or LA County Sheriff's Office? Who were these people that picked you up?
No, this was Orange County. So, they try to group LA and Orange County together, but we're separate. So
Hmm.
this was Orange County. So we're kind of like next door to each other. We kiss each other,
Got you,
but
got you.
it was Orange County.
Yeah, so take us back a little bit to that day, and I'm only bringing this up because I know sometimes we don't remember, or either I would say are mindful of how these things can still affect you. And so I don't want to, stir up anything that may be hard to relive, but just for the sake of understanding and clarity for people to know how this has affected you and the individual that is now in the White House and now trying to be the president of the United States. We as a people, particularly black people, that need to be put up on game on how this woman's policies and how this woman really is when the camera's not on.
Right. It is about the policy. And to be honest with you, everything kind of started way before my arrest.
Mm,
And I was working very diligently with the school district, had meetings with the school district prior to my arrest, did my due diligence as a parent to ensure that certain documents is in place,
hmm
which is called a 504 plan. which
Break
is a
down,
reasonable
break
accommodation.
that 504 down for people that don't know. Tell them about the 504
So
plan.
a 504 plan is a written plan that provides accommodation and support for students with disabilities so they can participate in public schools.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very, very important that any child with a disability has this plan written in place, whether it's you're diabetic or you have any kind of mental social issues, but this plan is in place. So therefore, the teachers cannot discriminate and say, no, you can't go to the bathroom. No, you can't have water. No, you can't be dismissed early due to the fact it takes longer for you to go to class. So in junior high school and high school, you have to go to multiple classes. So
Mm-hmm.
when you have a 504 plan in place, it allows the child to get additional time to get to that classroom. So they'll be able to be dismissed without any getting in trouble type situation, which is a 504. And there's documents that has to be in place. You have to go through your physician. You have to have meetings. So there is a whole process when it comes to making sure that your child gets the correct accommodations under the 504, not an IEP.
No, so what's the difference
So
of 504 and an IEP? What's
So
the
an IEP is an individualized educational plan,
mm,
which focus on the education of the child to
mm,
see if that child can actually sit in a general classroom setting, or if that child needs a special day class. So a lot of times there are certain areas in which you can be approved for, and that's still require testing, that requires doctor's notes, it still requires documentation, and it's not something you can just get overnight. And the district has a right to approve or deny that IEP based off of documentation. So they may say no to the IEP and yes to a 504, and vice versa. So they may say the 504 may not work. We may need to go ahead and do an IEP based off of whatever is going on with the child, because there's like 9 different areas that you can actually get qualified in, which can vary your services that you can receive
mm-hmm.
through the school. So it's basically a way for the school to get additional funding
Right.
for this particular child
Mm-hmm.
based off of an educational disability, a learning disability, or B, a child with a medical condition, or other things that can hinder them from being in a general classroom setting. Because just because of their disability does not mean they need a special day class. They can still be in a general classroom setting and not a special day class.
Got,
And it's a difference between the two.
gotcha.
And it's a difference between the tracks of
Mhm.
understanding if your child is eligible for graduation or if they're eligible for just a certificate of completion. So it's a lot that is involved and is a very complex system.
And you've been doing this for how long, Cheree?
I've been, as far as planning when it comes to educational things, I've been doing this ever since before she was in elementary school, because myself was in school.
Yeah.
And because I was in school, I was eligible for programs for childcare.
Mm-hmm.
And they still based a lot of the programs off of attendance. So I was already fighting the system to ensure that I can have childcare while I go to school, because she was missing then.
Mm.
So I was pretty much aware of a lot of the policies that is in place when it comes to attendance when you're receiving government assistance. So anytime the government is assisting and paying for things, or even if you're on FAFSA, for example, and you're going to college, they take attendance in college. Years ago, it wasn't no attendance involved, but now you have a lot of people who receives FAFSA, and if you miss too many days, you're at risk for losing your FAFSA. So it's the same thing.
Gotcha.
So it's the same kind of concept where I was fighting to keep her childcare so I can go to school based off of the amount of time she was missing.
Right.
So I had to fight the state for that in order for her to continue her childcare, because I was at risk of losing it every single month.
Wow. How many days? How many days did Shayla miss for the state or the county to I guess to be alerted of this? You know, what was the process? I mean, you know, were there any notifications when this stuff had occurred that led up to you being arrested? I mean, because based on the statement was that uh, these days had to have been excessive in order for the police, in order for Kamala's policy to take effect for parents who were truant. So it seems like there was no exceptions. There were no considerations. There was no evidence saying, "Hey, my daughter or my son has sickle cell. Here's the paperwork. Here's the information. Here's the 504. Here's all these provisions and all these things that I've been taking and having in my possession to present in case these things occur." So why was it that your situation was not considered an exception?
I really can't answer that question. It's just something that I really have to ask the principal of the school and who submitted me to the district to begin with, because again, I was actually actively advocating for my daughter at the time, way before my arrest. So um, I don't know why they didn't accept it or why they didn't give the information to the district attorney.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't have an answer to that question. I just know as a parent that I was fighting, and I was continuing to fight no matter what um, they were saying. And I was approaching the principal. I was calling.
Mm.
I had a meeting, and at the same time, I was pregnant. I was pregnant with my son.
Wow.
Um,
During this whole
so
during this whole ordeal, this whole time you were
for
pregnant as
the most part, I was
well?
pregnant throughout the time I was advocating for my daughter. When I got arrested, my son was 3 months old.
Wow. Wow.
So I was literally in labor at the time. I had a arranged meeting with the school, and I could not go because I was in active labor.
Mm.
So having not knowing at the time what that meeting was truly about,
Yeah.
once I got arrested, it was clearly about my daughter's attendance. But I was calling, I was having meetings with the school. I went to the superintendent office. I got a lot of her attendance overturned, and they still submitted my name. They did not want to cover her absences for the time she was home with me
Yeah.
when she was sick, even though she was under doctor's care, under doctor's orders, because by law I have to follow doctor's orders. So
Right.
that was another complexity that I was dealing with, because sickle cell is very monitored medically. So anytime the doctors feel that I'm not doing something, they can report me to CPS,
Right.
which is Child Protective Services. So again, on one end, I was dealing with the medical system. On another end, I was dealing with the educational system. And then on the other end, I was dealing with public social services system. So I was dealing with basically like a whole spider,
Yeah.
so with me in the middle and everything else that intertwine with each other. But this truancy law is the one law, the one criminal law that's intertwined in ed code.
So, and for those who are joining, this is my special guest, Cheree Peoples. We're discussing the truancy law that she was arrested under Kamala Harris, who was the DA, and she was the DA at the time, right? This was not she was not the, I mean she was the AG. Excuse me. This is the AG, right? She was AG, or was she DA at the time?
She was okay. So I'm not for sure
I believe the
exactly.
report said AG.
So I want to say she was Attorney General by
Yeah,
the time my arrest happened in
yeah. She's
2013.
over the state of she's over. I'm going to say state of Texas. She's over the state of California at the time. So pretty much, she was the top cop, and actually the governor's cop as well too. But so in light of this, you know, the video that I had played at the beginning, I'm gonna play it in just a moment because I want to kind of like just get your thoughts about this. 'Cause remember, I had shared this with you when I saw your video, which was odd. You didn't have a lot of views on it, which is strange to me. You would think your story and your situation would have gotten some attention. And I'm going to ask you and remind me to ask you, where was black radio at, quote unquote? Where was Ricky Smiley and them? Where was D.L. Hughley and them at? Where was the Breakfast? Where was Charlemagne and them at when all this happened?
I don't really know. I just know I was actively on my feet trying to navigate with my people as far as DL Hughley. I didn't never know their stance on anything because I don't do politics. That's not
Right.
what I do.
Right.
To be honest with you, I
Yeah.
do education, I do teaching. That is my perspective of things. So, um, was I out there in the streets right before
COVID hit, yes, I was. I was going out doing 2000, what year was that? We had it
COVID.
was at Lamert Park, like little things that I was doing in the community at Lamert Park, but it was very stressful and very difficult to even get people to hear my story. As soon as they heard my name, they wanted to hang up the phone in my face. So it wouldn't matter if it was the Hugleys or if it was the Trumps. It felt like nobody didn't want to hear or
Mm,
wasn't present for me. I went through this all alone, all by myself, with no help from nobody. So outside of the people who really truly felt like I had a story, and um, I really am appreciative to them to give me the
yeah.
opportunity to be able to tell, the story from the beginning, and it just didn't go anywhere. It just felt like I was blackmailed, but I knew it had a purpose, and I knew not just my story, but I just knew that what I went through, that other people will be able to relate to what I went through. And
Yeah.
I pray that I'm able to help them in their situation, and to be able to um, let parents know it's okay to advocate for your child.
Yeah.
Do what you need to do for your children. Make sure you have that comprehensive care. Make sure you cross your T's and dot your I's. Don't be afraid of these school politicians.
Mm,
Don't be afraid of them. Understand the language, because that is very, very important. Is understanding the language. Understand what is available to you and your child. If your child is disabled, they have resources based off of the state that you live in. I live in California. What may be available for me may not be available for you in Georgia, or vice versa. So just understand your legal aspects as a parent, and not just yours as a parent, but your child legal, what they have available legally outside of you. So there's a lot of different layers and complexities when you're dealing with a child with a disability, regardless of what that disability is. My daughter has sickle cell anemia. It's a hereditary condition with no cure. It is the oldest hereditary condition in the world, and it has no cure. And my child suffers at the end of the day.
mm,
And it wasn't fair for her to watch me go through this and continue to go through this, because she is continually being suffering because of it.
yeah.
Just recently, I'm trying to navigate, like, okay, I want to do notary, I want to do these kind of things, and on the application I got to put down that I was arrested. And I sat there in tears to say, like, I can't even get my own business started to become a notary, because now I got to sit here and mark that I have an arrest record, all because I was trying to save my child's life.
Mm,
And it's moments like that that really hits me,
yeah.
or when I'm too scared to open up my front door because I don't want the police there.
To this day, that's how you still have those thoughts and those.
Yes, to this day. Like, I don't answer my door. I don't have company at my house. Like, I will, send my son and be in the background, or I have my daughter check, or I probably just don't answer it at all.
Mm,
Like, I don't have company like that. So who is coming to my house?
yeah.
So yes, I am completely traumatized from that when it comes to even dealing with my son. Like, my son is in school. I got to do IEPs for him. I have panic attacks. I have to be able to calm myself down. I have to do certain things in order to move forward to manage his education.
Yeah.
It really hindered my son, because I'm still have to navigate that area to this day.
I remember when we had talked the other day. I believe you had mentioned the NAACP. You contacted the NAACP regarding this too, and what were their words to you when you explained to them your situation?
First, it took me over a year to get the meeting with the NAACP. That was very hard, and it was just nothing. They told me it was nothing they can do. There was be very expensive if I fired my attorney in order for anybody else to pick it up, but it wasn't nothing they can do but write it out. That's it.
Wow. I want to play this. I want to play the video that I played at the beginning. I want you to tell us basically where you were when this had happened, and just get your thoughts about this. Because again, that's how I actually found out about you when I went to your YouTube page and just heard you in your own words. I did see some other interviews, but this one, it just seemed to me you were at a different place And I think it was more raw and more real because it just happened to you from what you had said in the video. So I'm gonna play the video and then we'll come on the other side of it and we'll talk about it.
Hi, my name is Cheree Peoples. On March 13th, 2013, I was arrested for truancy for my child, and she has a chronic illness called sickle cell anemia. This is me the day they came and arrested me at my house. I was unaware that they even was considering my child to be a truant. Her diagnosis, sickle cell, it's a really chronic disorder. There's no cure for it. They pretty much are born with it as a hereditary blood disorder that affects every major organ in their body. Everyone, their brain, their heart, their lungs, anything that is related, the eyes, they have strokes, high rates of strokes. Sickle cell, it's not a known, people don't know about it. They don't know, they know of it, but you don't really know about it. And it's a totally different thing when you're living it. And right now, I'm living the worst nightmare that any mother can possibly understand and go through, to feel, to be arrested based on the fact that your child has a chronic illness and her illness prevents her and from going to school, and I get arrested for truancy. It's documented that my child has an illness. She's chronically ill. The way her care is done, and for them to not just provide the services that are needed for me to be successful to help my child, they went ahead and arrested me.
So Sheree, when this occurred, where were you when this happened? Tell us what this video, the background, the setting, where were you at? Was this just
I
after?
want to say with that particular video, I was at my apartment, but I know there's another video I was at the hospital that I did.
Mhm.
So it could have been one of the two. Either I was at the hospital or I was at my actual apartment at the time.
Gotcha. So when you had shared that article uh, that day, what was your mind state? What was going on? During that time when you had recorded that video. Just say that the sound maybe that may be in your house. I'm just being joking because I heard the smoke detector go out. That's the single ladies alarm.
When that beep beep going off.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's it.
During that time, I want to say that's when it was really stressful because she got really, really sick.
Hmm.
Um, I had the health department come to my house at one point and put us on quarantine because she had like a TB type infection. And I know I remember going through that and we had to get TB tested. She was in the hospital for like 3 weeks because of that. Then after, right before that, she had a really bad fever,
Mm-hmm.
like of 104. And then I had to switch her hospitals because her hospital didn't believe the fact that she was sick.
Mm-hmm.
And they were kicking me out of the hospital and like, oh no, Miss Peoples, you need to go, you need to go. And I'm like, well, she keeps saying she's sick. And they was like, no, you need to leave. We're going to call the police on you if you don't go. And at that time, I was already dealing with my truancy situation. So I said, I don't need any more police problems. So I take her home within an hour or so. I take her temperature and her temperature was like 104.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately I said, well, if I go back to that same hospital, all they're going to do is leave us in that ER, and that would have been horrible. And the treatment I will receive was going to be horrible because they already threatened me with the police. So I took her to a children's hospital of Orange County and made that decision to take her to a different hospital because of the treatment that I received that same day that she got sick within hours. I took her to Children's Hospital of Orange County, and she had to have an emergency surgery. She had her port was infected, so they immediately had to remove her port. So my daughter was extremely sick at that time.
And all of this again was because of a law that did not give any consideration or exception to people like yourself, parents like yourself, whose children have disabilities or chronic illnesses. Is that correct?
Well, they say technically excuse absences, but for some reason those absences was an excuse because of course and you would say, well, she was sick, she's in the hospital, you have documentation, and yes, I did. But for the times that I called the doctor at 2 3 in the morning to say, hey, she's sick, and they tell me what to do and tell me, well, in the morning give them a call, and she still doesn't go to school the following a day or so after that, it's that gray period of calling the doctors and them telling me to keep her home.
So
So it's like, how can I get doctor's notes if they wanted me to take her to the doctor every single time? And what the school said was, bring her to us first for us to determine how sick she is. So that was their um, thing. They wanted me to bring her to school for them to tell me how sick she is.
let's talk about the support system that you had during this time, right? Because I don't know, how was your family situation there? Who did you have supporting you? Did you have transportation? How were you able to go through this period of time from the time that you were arrested? I'm assuming when you got arrested, how did you get out?
Well, it was a warrant that they had. They released me the same day. Um, and it was just through sometimes the grace of God and my mom before she got really sick. My son's dad was there to help me with him,
Mm,
but everything when it comes to my daughter and her father, he wasn't nowhere in the picture. So it was just really me by myself because my son needed his father to be there for him
right,
during those times, and till this day for his protection,
right,
to make sure he has a parent available for him because I wasn't available.
yeah.
It's moments where he will show me pictures or videos of my son that I don't remember.
Mm,
And that's when I realized how much um, that I remember and don't remember of my son, especially during his infancy stages. I have no memory of him
wow. And
because everything was so focused around my daughter.
that's what I was going to ask you, is because of everything else that precipitated these events. That
Right, because you gotta realize I'm at the hospital. Legally, I'm bound to her at the hospital. So when she's in the ER, I have to stay there with her. So when I have to talk to doctors, so especially as a minor, as a parent, to a minor child,
Mhm.
I'm obligated legally. And this is the part people don't understand. I couldn't even leave the hospital at times. I was stuck.
Yeah.
So even if I had a little part-time job and I'm stuck in the ER with her, I had to make agreements with the nurses because I'm like, how can I have a living when every time she's in the hospital, I don't get paid? I cannot get paid because the state pays me to care for my child. And it's home services, it's meant for the home. And they tell me if she's not in the home, then I can be subject again to going to jail for reporting hours from when she's not with me. So I can't put down hours for when she's in the hospital because I can get in trouble for that.
So
So it's a very complex
yeah.
situation.
So you're basically caught in between, in between two situations, unfortunate situations. Number one, all this is based on technicalities. Home service, so they don't consider the fact that you got to go to the hospital. You're still taking care of your daughter. You're still a full-time caregiver, although
Yeah.
this is an emergency beyond your control. You have no other recourse but to do that, because then if you don't and something happens to her, God forbid, then they're gonna charge you with neglect. So
And that's the charge that they had me under.
they
So
had you.
if you go, so the what people don't understand is what it is and what it says in the law. Okay, so the law is
You froze. Let me see if I can
the
get you back.
person.
Okay, go ahead. You have froze up for a second. Say it again. Read the quote
It
again.
says crimes. It says crimes and punishment. This is under the penal code. Crimes and punishments, crimes against the person involving sexual assaults, and crimes against public decency and good morals, 261 368.7. Title amended by the state in 1982, Chapter 111, Section 2. Chapter 2, Abandonment and Neglect of Children, 270 273.775. Chapter 2, enacted in 1872. So these things have been
872.
amended ever since 1872 as part of the law that I have been encounter with. A parent or guardian of a pupil of 6 years of age or more who's in kindergarten or any of grades 1 through 8, inclusive, who is subject to compulsory full-time education, who child is chronically truant as defined in section 48263.6 of the educational code, who has failed reasonably supervise and encourage the pupil school attendance, who has been offered language accessible support services, address pupils truancy, is guilty of a misdemeanor punished by fine not exceeding $2,000, or imprisonment by county jail not exceeding 1 year, or both that fines and imprisonment, a parent, guardian guilty of a misdemeanor under subdivision may participate in the deferred entry of judgment program defined in subdivision B. Go
Uh,
look it up. It's in the state.
this 1872. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is during Reconstruction.
In 1872 is when this chapter 2 was enacted, which is the abandonment and neglect of children.
Well, first of all, they didn't want us educated no way during that time, and then they're going to use that law to try to hamstring you and hold you accountable. That's okay. Yeah. All right.
That's
So
pretty much the law.
so as I mentioned earlier, this is Sickle Cell Awareness Month, the month of
Yes,
September, Sickle Cell Awareness Month, right? And
yes,
you're here talking about these things, and I guess my question I want to ask you, and you kind of like touched on some of these things. How has things been going for you now that you've seen Kamala Harris, and this is not because I'm not trying to push you in the realm of anything that you're not comfortable with, but I do believe that this ties into the area of education as well too, because we as a people are poorly educated when it comes to policy, when it comes to these laws that affect the black community or that affect low income families. So when you hear these reports or when you see the news now praising Kamala about how she helped the community, how she was tough on crime, how she was able to reform certain neighborhoods and things of that nature. I just want to know, have you been hearing these things aside you being busy, taking care of your daughter? I mean, I'm just curious. I know you've been on other platforms, but I never asked you that question. As a brother, I just need to know, how you've been feeling in light of what's been going on, and hearing these reports now, putting her in a positive light. And you can keep it real. I'm just
I
trying to.
mean, at the end of the day, we all have some kind of positivity to us. Everything about everybody is never negative 100%.
Right.
So at the end of the day, because I know and understand that we're all human, I just wish that it would have been taken more seriously, not trying to shove it up under the rug and just take accountability for it. Have a conversation is more appropriate
Yeah.
than not to recognize it, consider me unintentional consequences. It wasn't nothing unintentional regarding the criminal law that's inside the ed code, which allows the principals, the superintendents to push parents into the criminal justice system. So
Mm,
understand what pushed me into the criminal justice system was not necessary. It was the way of the educational system, not necessarily the police system.
mhm.
So it was a completely different type of system in which the educational side now has power to put people in jail.
Yeah.
And that wasn't their authority in the first place, but they can submit your name to the DA, and the DA can do whatever investigation they said that they did,
Mm,
because they did try to come to my house and I thought that they were going to help me, and it completely just hit me in the face with something different.
right.
I asked if I need an attorney when they came to do the investigation. They told me no. I asked, it was right after my daughter's IEP that got denied that I was fighting for. So in my mind, I thought I was going in the right direction by
Mm,
talking to the investigator, because I have nothing to hide. I never did. Why would I hide if I'm allowing you in my home? I didn't
right.
stop you, but I didn't even know it was the police until they were ready to leave and pass me their card and be like, "Oh, you the police? Like, do I need an attorney? Do I need a lawyer?" And no, Miss
So they never
Peoples,
identified
did.
themselves before they entered to your residence.
Huh?
They never identified themselves as the police before entering into a residence?
No, they just said they was investigating. So I thought they was investigating for my daughter so I can get services.
So
So
they never
when they
identified
said
themselves as the police.
investigation, I didn't think of truancy at all.
Yeah. So
Nothing.
they
It
never
was just
identified themselves they never identified themselves as the police until after the fact.
not when they came in. Not that
Wow.
I can't
It's
remember
been
if
a
they
while. Yeah,
did.
it's
I
been a
just
while.
remember that I thought it was an investigation for why my daughter IEP got denied,
Got you.
because I was trying to figure out why my daughter's IEP got denied a month before.
Got you.
So because I was in talks with the school and the superintendent, it's not like I wasn't talking to these people every other week, because I was.
Right.
Whether I was doing it through writing, where I was doing it through meetings, whether I had the Sickle Cell Foundation come and have a meeting so I can fix it. What is it that I need to do? What documents do you need? Like, how can I, as a parent, fix what's wrong?
Right.
So I won't get in trouble.
I mean,
But
you
it didn't
basically
matter
handling
how
your
much.
business. You basically handling business as you think you doing what you're supposed to do. Only now for this to be turned around and flipped. Because I would say also this for you in your defense, I would assume that when you were talking to these people, talking to the school, and you mentioned about this overlapping of authority, right? So you have the state and then you have the school board. All right. So now you would think that the state would have spoken in your defense and said, hey, no, we've talked with Miss Peoples, we've gotten her paperwork, we've seen what she was, none of that was considered when the DA got involved or the AG got involved.
I mean, once they submitted my name to the DA, it was automatic.
It's automatic, right? So they didn't help you. That's my point.
It was just submitted to it wasn't never going to be considered a DA reject, I don't think.
Right.
So it wasn't like it's the opposite, in which you commit a crime, they arrest you, and then they do their investigation when they arrest you. Mine was a little different. So they investigated, then they arrested me.
Yeah. But they
So
arrested
I guess from whatever the
you.
investigation that they did, and which gave them the bounce to say I wasn't in compliant.
Right, but they treated you as a negligent parent, and you were not a negligent parent. That's
Right.
the whole point, right? Okay,
Right.
so all right, so I want to do this. I want to play this video. I don't know if you've seen it. You may have, but I have not heard your reaction. I haven't heard your reaction to what Kamala Harris said when she was on the Breakfast Club talking about her truancy policy, and Charlemagne clearly asking her, so you haven't arrested any? Your law wasn't arresting any parents that were truant, and I want to get your response, your reaction to it. Let's go.
So I created this initiative with the intention of putting a spotlight on it, and frankly, willing to be the bad guy to put a spotlight on it, but with the intention, which was the goal, which was achieved, of then highlighting and uplifting the resources that were available for those parents to get those children to school every day.
So you didn't lock up parents when their kids didn't go to school. I'm just trying to clear up all the BS.
No.
As a prosecutor and law enforcement, I have a huge stick. So I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy.
That was January 14, 2010 that she made that last statement. I just want to get your thoughts and your reaction to that.
As far as the Breakfast Club is concerned, it hurt me tremendously. So the fact that no, she wasn't the ones who slapped the handcuffs on me, because that is not her job. That's not in her job description
Right.
to do that. That is the job of the police. But she was AG at the time, so she was the boss of the DA. And I don't know whatever the communication was or what. But it was hurtful to hear her say that, because her policy is what caused me to have all these issues, dealing with a whole lot of trauma, PTSD, and still going through it to this day. So the fact that she thinks it's a joke, the fact that she keep trying to say it didn't happen or I'm unintentional consequences, she can't say my name. It's low key kind of hurtful,
Yeah.
because it's not trying to fix the issue as far as trying to decriminalize truancy,
Right.
to take the criminal aspect away, because it's still there. It's still active in the state of California. And to my acknowledgement, I believe other states are following suit as far as the criminal code currently. putting provisions in, and it's not even just for truancy. It's the fact that the schools now are being more proactive when it comes to holding parents accountable for their children's actions. And there has been parents who have been prosecuted and sent to the DA based off their children's actions at school. So I'm just here to educate my parents. If your children is not doing what they need to do, if they're acting up and doing things, they are going to hold you liable, whether it's criminally, whether it's financially, because two parents just got prosecuted for manslaughter because their child went to school and shot up the school, and they knew about it, they was aware about it, and they didn't take any precautions to help that child. And this is why I strongly encourage my parents to actively advocate. Make sure you're doing what you need to do and protect yourself along the way. Make sure you documenting, making sure you taking them to the doctor. So even if you do get caught up in something, you still have the documentation to prove your rightness at the end of the day, because I had the documentation. It proved my rightness to their wrongness. And to this day, I was always innocent. And
Right.
I did not have to plead guilty with no contest, as this particular code stated. My charges was dropped, but it took 2.5 years for that to happen. It didn't happen overnight.
Even though it was dropped, though, Cheree, are you is the arrest record still on your? I mean, are you still have an arrest record? Why was that not expunged?
Because I have to figure out the legal aspects to get it expunged.
So they
So,
dropped.
you
So they
know,
dropped. So they dropped the charge. You weren't found guilty. You didn't plead guilty or anything like that. They dropped it, but they didn't remove that from your record.
no, they're
Wow.
not going to remove that from my record. It's still on my record. Like I said, I really didn't do court. I didn't understand that it was on my record until people would tell me. Like, Cheree, you may still have an arrest record, even though you didn't go to, serve a extended period of time, or they didn't convict you. You still have a actual record. Like, I had to learn that during the process of after my arrest. So a lot of it has been like learning on the spot. It really put me through law school for the most part, and still going through it.
Yeah, I bet. I wanted to play some other clip. We're talking about policies, right? We're talking about Kamala Harris's policy. We're also talking about how her policies has affected the Black community, and then also I want to get your thoughts too, Cheree, because again, I know you've been seeing different. You just saw the video about Charlemagne, and he may even saying that it was BS of people accusing Kamala of putting parents in jail for truancy. No, it wasn't BS. This actually happened. You're one of the matter of fact. You're one of 6, and I'm not sure if you know the other families or other parents' story, but you were one of 6 that they rounded up and threw in jail for truancy violations. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So when you hear Charlemagne talk about, he just trying to clear up the BS, there's nothing to clear up. This was a fact. These things actually happen. And what really concerns me is these are the people within the Black community, Cheree, that have the platforms. These are the people that have more followers than you and I put together, right? So the biggest microphone, biggest platform, they won't get the most pushback because they're the gatekeepers, and they have people that can kind of like circumvent anyone that will come out and say, wait a minute, hold on, what about a Cheree Peoples? What about a Jamal Truelove? What about a David Delighten? You know what I'm saying? What about these other individuals who were victims of these lawless policies that have been affecting individuals who have followed the law, who were doing what they were supposed to do, or advocating for other people to do it as well too. So I want to play a video of Steve Harvey, and then what Kamala said, and then also Dr. Umar Johnson and his response to Kamala claiming that she can't do anything to help Black people, but at the same time have policies and laws in place to protect other ethnic groups. So let's go.
Before y'all start calling my radio show and DMing me, talking about why you ain't asked no hard-hitting questions, that ain't what this is. I'm throwing a lob. This is the alley-oop for a dunk. because this administration needs to get the word out of what they're actually doing and what they're actually accomplishing, so we can stop all this foolishness about what you're doing for black people. Can't nobody come out with no agenda and call it this for black people and expect to get in the White House. You got to play the game different. Y'all know what this is.
I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No.
Somebody asked her, what are y'all going to do for black people? And she said, we can't pass laws just for black people. She said this, we can't do things just for black. Well, Kamala Harris, can I ask you a question, Madam Vice President? If the Democratic Party can't do anything just for black people, why did y'all pass a law only for Asians? Why did y'all pass a law only for Native Americans? Why did y'all pass a law only for transgenders? Why did y'all pass a law only for LGBTQs? Why did y'all pass a law only for immigrants? If you can't do anything just for black people, this is what she said. It came out of her mouth. If you can't do anything just for black people, how was it possible for you and President Biden to do all these other things for specific ethnic groups in this country from whose benefit no other group can take anything from?
What's your thoughts about what's your reaction, your thoughts about any of those comments? Video?
It just brings me back to the 1994 crime bill is the reason why.
You want to talk about it?
Not just, I'm just saying, I just had you.
Yeah, you take you back. Exactly.
And in a way, and just certain things is just the reason on why, we're getting funding through other things, which costs a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So, we got the welfare and all these kind of things. So they probably feel like that is reparations, when it comes to what Kamala said, as far as me is concerned, programs in place and the children initiative. I can't remember the exact name of the judicial thing that she created. So our reparations has been funded in different ways, and it's just looked at differently. But it just brings me back to the 1994 crime bill.
Yeah, we are taking care of you.
Which is part of the reason why I'm going through what I'm going through too. Because that's on a federal level, and this is not federal, this is state. So, it's the difference, and people got to understand that based off of the federal level, things trickle down to the state. So this is all a part of finding ways to do school to prison pipeline, and this is school to prison pipeline for parents. Even for the good parents out there, they're gonna find a way for you to pay a fine, go through the process of the criminal justice system, to have your name in your face, go through booking and your fingerprints and all that kind of good stuff, and try and navigate a system that you wasn't have to navigate at one point. Like your systems was medical system, insurance systems, trying to make sure that your child is healthy and is educated all at the same time, and then have to also govern the criminal justice system is a whole nother ball game, because now you're at risk of your life, you're at risk of your freedom, you're at risk of losing your child, you're at risk of so much, to where that during those moments you don't even realize how much is at risk. Like me trying to go to work, losing jobs while I'm working, thinking about how I'm gonna take care of my child if I have an arrest record, or not just an arrest record, but an actual conviction, or either, she goes to the system like she's sick. Like, that is a parent's worst nightmare at the end of the day, for your child to be taken from you.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of a man by the name of David Daleiden?
No, I haven't. Not off the back of my head.
David Daleiden, his story, not the same as yours, but I believe, different story, same person, or policy, or law. He was I believe in California. It had to be in California because he was arrested. He's a pro-lifer, and his organization was to help parents to not abort their babies and find alternative options. And so what he did was he would go to Planned Parenthood or these abortuaries and would video these doctors talk about in gruesome detail how they would abort babies. And of course, Planned Parenthood, the multi-million, if not billion-dollar industry, make their living off of aborting babies, particularly in the Black community. That's where you see most of Planned Parenthood buildings and stuff at. But so what he did was he recorded he recorded a conversation, Planned Parenthood contacted Kamala Harris. Had Kamala Harris use her authority, abuse of authority, and raided his home, stole his equipment, seized his equipment, and all of those things, and did it because she had the ability and had the authority to do it. So I just want you to hear his testimony and just hear how her laws and her policies affected not just you, but affected other people who were advocates of people who can't defend for themselves. So let me just play this part. Let's go.
In April of 2016, at the behest of Planned Parenthood, Kamala Harris ordered a search warrant served on my home in Orange County. I think it was a total of 11 agents of the California Department of Justice sent by Kamala Harris came in, overturned my entire one-bedroom apartment. They seized all of the video recording equipment, all of my computer equipment, everything that was, all the electronic equipment that was used to do the undercover filming. Fortunately, there were backup hard drives, and attorneys had copies of stuff and other things. So they didn't take anything that I absolutely needed in order to continue to do my work, but they primarily they were looking for the videos, and they were looking for the original videos. We have in the investigator notes from the Attorney General's office now, they recorded in their case notes Planned Parenthood specifically requesting of Kamala Harris's office that they would specifically go in and seize the videos from me. So they were trying to take all the raw footage away and trying to do a huge cover-up. They weren't successful at doing that, but that's just one of many things that Kamala Harris, as Attorney General of California, was willing to do to put the powers of her law enforcement office at the service of the interests of a powerful and favored political backer at Planned Parenthood.
So I just want to get your thoughts about that in the context of the power that this woman has as an attorney general to do these things without any type of pushback. We hear the term called prosecutorial misconduct. This is what this was, and she got away with it. Unscathed, untouched. I mean, anytime you mention these things, people turn a blind eye to it, or they ignore it. Or, as a matter of fact, I even saw a person that was commenting on your page on Twitter or X now, was calling your story a lie, saying that you didn't get arrested, that Kamala didn't do this to you. Per se, we know she didn't personally do it, but we're talking about the policies, her laws, her rule and reign as either DA or an AG. So I just wanted to get your thoughts and reaction to this, because this man was advocating for children, advocating for babies, advocating for people who can't defend themselves, and was trying to expose this operation as being not a help, but a harm and a hurt and hindrance to a community.
I think he was trying to do his best due diligence to, expose, and hopefully he was trying to educate and do it for the right reasons. I don't know exactly per se his reasoning behind what he was trying to do, but of course, who will it's really hard for me to say, because I don't know the background in which that has happened and everything like that, because us as women has a right to do and have a right to choose if we want to keep or not to keep. So that is a choice that we should reserve the right for. So I try not to get involved too much of anything like that, because we have that right to be able to choose whether I feel is right or wrong. That's not nor here nor there, because I don't know their story to the reasons on why they feel that they need to do it. Or, he wanted to do his due diligence to expose. Was it right that the police came in and seized, his home? No, it wasn't right. He has the right to get the information out to the public. It's all about our amendment rights and those infringements on the rights, while we are trying to, for me, advocate for my own personal child. So I know he was advocating for those who are unborn, and but it wasn't directly his child. I was fighting for my biological child that has a condition of sickle cell anemia that has no cure, that is the oldest hereditary condition in the world. So I can't necessarily, it's apples and oranges to me right now,
Yeah, I'm
because I
speaking
was
out. Yeah,
really out there for my child,
yeah, I was
you
speaking from
know.
the aspect.
So I get that it was wrong for, you know, depending if they felt like it was illegal on how he got the information. Did they have permission to record? There's, you know, other aspects that I
You're
don't
right.
know, you know, and it would be wrong for me to give an accurate answer without the accurate
Yeah, I'm just
information.
speaking from a constitutional standpoint. His Fourth Amendment rights were violated. Illegal, unlawful search and seizure. That goes against the Fourth Amendment. And so I was speaking about, speaking about that and how she used her power to circumvent constitutional law to go after an opponent or go after someone, regardless of whether he believes something is right or wrong. The violation was the Constitution, the constitutionality of it, of his rights being violated. Did not have a search warrant. You raided a person's home. You seized his equipment unlawfully, and you did it under the behest of an organization whose whole plan and purpose. And you can look at Margaret Sanger. She talks about that as well too, is to eradicate the black community. So I just wanted to,
So from that standpoint, it's wrong if they didn't have a warrant. You
oh
know,
yeah,
if
yeah,
they
that's
didn't come
that's
in,
what he said. Yeah, absolutely,
right. So
absolutely.
if they didn't come in with the right paperwork, of course, that's wrong.
Yeah,
That's
his rights were
infringement.
violated, and he went to jail
Right.
for it.
So on that note, of course, you know, as far as coming in and searching and seizing your property without a warrant, of course, most definitely, I wouldn't. Is the same situation without being notified of the police entering my home and me asking if they had, if I needed a lawyer, and they told me no. And in fact, it was the actual police department that was doing the investigation for them to say to arrest me. So it was that investigation that they did to say like, oh, we have substantial evidence to prosecute.
Right, right. And the only thing I would probably say, that out of respect, I definitely, understand where you're coming from. We were different on the woman's right to choose. I believe that life starts in conception, and a woman's body is not the body of a baby. That's why if a baby and the woman get harmed, they'll be charged for double murder or be charged for homicide of two persons, because that baby and the life of the mother will both be in jeopardy. But that's that.
Now, whether I believe, so you got to remember, I'm a woman. Now, whether I believe that is nor here nor there, but I still believe any woman has that right to choose. And whether my viewpoint may be to keep the baby, I may not believe in abortions. That may not be something I stand for, but it doesn't take the fact away of somebody else having that right. They have the right to choose. Whether I believe personally in it or anything is my personal opinion. I can help them and say, you know, please don't do it, but they may got raped. They probably, you know, something may happen to them that caused this particular situation and wasn't with, I don't know their backstory.
Mhm.
And that's not for me to judge. I am not the one to judge. I'm
Right.
never the one.
I get you on that. I'm not pressing that point. I'm just talking about just from a moral standpoint. When we talk about right to choose what? Now we do understand that there's different situations and circumstances. You have rape, incest, and life of the mother, but that's less than 2% of 98% of the cases that happen in abortion. So that even that is not an overarching, overall narrative of what we see going on in our society. But
Right.
I just wanted to just stress that point on that, and we can have a conversation about that another time. But I'm just bringing you on about this situation here and showing you how Kamala Harris's policies not just affects low income, it affects people, because again, we're talking about education. So why would people support a person whose policies, and she's made clear that she's not trying to help black folk. She's not trying to help a particular people group. You've been affected by this. Other people, have been affected by it. And when she has been, called to the carpet on it, it's either again being ignored or being downplayed or people being called racist. I remember you were on Real Dana's show, and I remember Judge Joe Brown, shout out to him, mentioning about that, because he definitely doesn't consider her. he ain't got no love for her pretty much at all, and I understand his point, but he understands the seriousness, and I would even say the effects of her policies, that I believe as a community of people in the black community, we have to be wise in who we are supporting, who we are endorsing, who we are coming behind. And I agree. not everything about a person has to always be bad, but if these things are glaring instances, and these things are glaring narratives that are basically can affect an entire people or an entire population or an entire system, then we need to give our attention to that. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that. And I know we are running close to time, but I want to ask you this one question. If you had an opportunity to sit down and talk with Kamala Harris, what would you say? What would be your questions for her, or what would be your thoughts or statements to her if you had a face-to-face conversation with Kamala Harris?
First of all, I just want her to say my name and not be considered unintentional consequences, and figure out how can we decriminalize this truancy policy, put in provisions in place federally in order for parents to actively advocate for their children, things of that nature. So therefore we can have true preventative measures, and it can be on the federal level and not just state by state. So therefore parents and caregivers or anybody who is actively trying to advocate for a child will be protected.
Mm. And what would be your closing thoughts or final words to any of the viewers who are watching this or who will be watching this later on? What would be your thoughts and anything you would like to say to them?
Pay attention to the language, pay attention to policy, understand who we're putting in place into our local government, not just on a federal level, but especially locally when it comes to our superintendents, our mayors, our city, our school, anything. Just pay attention, be very proactive in things when it comes to your children's education or any part of their lives. Just be very active. Make sure you document, make sure you cross your T's and dot your I's, just to protect yourself. There are things out there for parents that you can get resources from when it comes to advocacy. Look at your child disability, talk to their doctors, talk to outsource resources, because that's what really helped me navigate the system. Was my daughter's disability attorneys. So even though it was hard on one end, I had disability attorneys for her, but it helped in others areas also. So just familiarize yourself with the language, because language is important. Understand the educational code. Just understand it. Try to document. Try to talk to people outside of the school system. So therefore you can have second or third ears, have people come with you to your meetings. And most importantly, I stress this big, do not sign anything until you can review all documents. As a parent, when we go to these IEP meetings, 504, they really push you to sign right then and there. Always just tell them, give me about 14 days, because you have enough time to go over it. You have enough time to make sure everything you need is in place. Have an advocate, a person that knows your child, are in position to understand the language, to make sure you get everything that is due to you and your child. So do not sign an IEP until you can review it. That is very crucial.
Someone had a question. It said, "Does Cheree believe that if that conversation was had, that Kamala would actually do something to make those changes?" What are your thoughts on that?
I have faith. We just, it's just really, as far as saying based off of recent actions, I just pray that everything can go through and everything is aligned up for it to happen, because don't no parent deserve this. And making that very clear and advocating for our children. So I truly believe it will be enough weight for her to make a move.
So last two more questions. The first question is, how can people reach out to you if they want to contact you or want to support you? Want to support your.
They can email me at my first and last name. So it looked like Cheree Peoples. So I'm gonna just say it. Cheree, CHEREE Peoples at gmail.com is a very good way to reach me.
And it's also in the description video below as well, for those who would like to support those who would like to help any way they can, you can definitely do that, and would appreciate that. Last question for you, from me. Are you with Kamala, yes or no?
At this point, I ain't with nobody.
Okay.
I'm just with me right now.
Fair enough. Look, fair enough. Fair enough. Nah, Cheree, I appreciate you coming on, and thank you for your time. I wanted to, again, be
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I wanted to be respectful of your time, and so I'll be keeping in touch with you. Thank you so much, and definitely blessings and prayers to you and Shayla and the rest of your family.
Thank you. You guys have a good evening.
Take care now.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, y'all. That was Miss Cheree Peoples, and again, her information is in the description below at the bottom of the video. I know many of you were saying that you did not receive notification because I've been shadow banned. You already know how that goes. You already know what this is. So again, we do just have to do what we do, put the word out as much as we can, and trust God with the results. Again, her information, if you'd like to support her and her family, again, she's a full-time caregiver for her daughter, and you heard her story. If you check out other video interviews, her story is consistent. It's the same. If you read the news articles, this woman has been affected by the policies of Kamala Harris. And again, just wanted you all to make a wise, informed, and most importantly, biblical decision on who you support, who you endorse. And so, again, I encourage you as Christians to test all things, hold fast to that which is true, abstain from any and every form of evil. We're called to do that. So, again, I appreciate the conversation and appreciate Cheree from coming on. Yeah, there it is. I'll put it up here. And again, it's in the description below the video. That is her email. That is her email, ChereePeoples@gmail.com. She also has the Cash App, and also GoFundMe links are in there as well too. So you can reach out and support as you are led to do so. But we believe in helping people as much as we can, and at least putting the information out there and raising awareness. You never know, somebody may watch this. Somebody may watch these videos or watch this particular video and say, man, I want to do something. I want to help. I want to be of assistance. I want to be of service. And if you're a lawyer, she definitely would need your help and trying to get her record cleared and her name cleared. Again, if we don't think policy matters, if we don't think that politics are important, it is. From the local to the federal level, it is important. What we see federally is because of who we send to Washington locally. That's how that goes. That's how that goes, for the most part. We know that there are those exceptions, and we've already discussed those before in other videos, that not everybody that claims to represent us represents us. And we know that as well too. So, but I just wanted to put this information out here to you, the viewer. Again, if you want to support this ministry, you know how to do so. The links are below as well at the bottom of the video. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Support this ministry as the Lord leads you to do so as well. Share this video. Put this video out on your platforms and your channels, or tag a friend and let people know that this is the Kamala Harris that ABC, NBC, MSNBC, CNN, and black radio stations don't want you to know, don't want you to hear about. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Check out Judge Joe Brown's video interviews. He'll give you more information than I just gave. But it's there for you. Ignorance is a choice. It is not an obligation. And you're not born ignorant. You choose to be now. You choose to be now. So anyway, that's my time, ladies and gentlemen. This was a special broadcast. I do appreciate those of you coming out. Thank you, moderators, for holding it down. Thank you, Facebook family, for being a part of this live stream. I will keep you all posted. Other videos coming forward. But if I do not see you again anytime soon, y'all know the drill. Whatever you do all to the glory of God. God bless.
Thank you for sharing this night. God bless you. Good night.
It's time to say goodbye for now.
It's over. It's over, ladies and gentlemen.
Mama, I love you. P.O.P.
Hey, these all good pimps, boy, baby.
All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way. The truth is the light.
Please wake up.